wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round.
Our transportation company continues to fail our students by providing 20, on a good day, less drivers than the city has contracted to have.
And it causes chaos, and it's on the daily basis, and it has been for a while.
I've sat in these calls now for 4 years, and I share the frustration.
Bus article on Thursday, and depending upon the outcome of that, there will be changes.
This is a 15-day report for us, and not one day are we even at 60 drivers, let alone the 77 that we're contracted for.
77 is the goal. That solves all problems beyond, traffic and weather.
Mitigate some of the transportation problems, and my office remains ready to do whatever we can to help the situation.
All right, we start with an update now on how kids are going to be getting to school in Framingham in a few weeks. It has parents talking, obviously, and scrambling.
Framingham Public Schools says it's short about 20 drivers for the new academic year.
According to Framingham's Executive Director of Finance and Operations, they only have 57 of the 77.
School department recently sent out notice that it will be unable to accommodate every student who needs a bus.
To summarize, there have been 13 days of school in February, and my daughter was delivered to school before the 9:05 bell just once.
Today I was picked up at 9:01.
He's being picked up at the time he should be dropped off at school.
An area where we have strong concern is about the bus. And I've raised this concern multiple times.
Caritos, y entonces eso como que no.
I'm here to see if you might be able to help me. I see a lot of people trying to walk to school.
The greater community is concerned. Hopefully the school busing issue can be resolved expeditiously.
Apologize that I'm here tonight and that we had a couple days where it was less than stellar for us, and we apologize for that. We've got a really good pipeline that we're recruiting from and working towards. We've got 4 people that we're working through the training pipeline right now.
We feel a very favorable response of drivers that are going to be joining NRT bus.
But we do have 18 drivers that are coming through that 70 pipeline that we would, who are specifically earmarked for Framingham.
Yes, all 16 drivers in training are slotted and scheduled to assume Framingham routes.
Consistently since August, we've been told that there are 10 people in the pipeline, there are 10 people in the pipeline, 10 people in the pipeline.
And we do have 14 more in the training stages who are all earmarked for Framingham.
Last time we had this conversation, there were 14 in the pipeline, and guess what? The time before that, there were 14 drivers in the pipeline.
I'm just stunned by this the ongoing problem, and it's every month we seem to net out 0 or 1.
Clearly it's not working because none of these graphs show
growth in the right direction.
What's happening with the pipeline and when will it end? Because it's clear that this is not going to end at the current rate.
Our biggest thing during those times when the buses are late is just to keep the kids engaged. And, it's a really, really long day for them already. It's making for a longer day. So we just want to make that the best long day that we can make that.
Long bus rides, late arrivals.
Our kids are sitting around just waiting in classrooms or in lobbies, wherever it might be, waiting for a ride home.
A year ago today, Brophy was a 6.72% late rate, and that's now jumped to 38%. So we're not just talking about a minor issue. We're talking about 6.72 to 38.
Huge chunks of their school day are taken up mornings, afternoons, sometimes even evenings spent on buses.
It's not a procedural matter, it's our children. We're talking about children losing instruction time. We're talking about serious effects of their mental health, their ability to executive function, loss of income to families who are literally every minute at work ensures food on the table.
These kids on the south side are sacrifice. No matter what we do, it seems they always get the bottom end of the stick, and that is not right.
I think that's going to be a little bit of a problem when the kids can't make it to the games.
We're left in the unenviable position of having to try to mitigate the damage caused by parties that we can't control.
It would be much easier, of course, if we had 77 buses for a lot of reasons, but then to have this discussion with a full fleet and have the discussion about a later start.
I want to explore energy efficient buses for the long term.
Busing is the number one issue. It always is.
We're not functioning optimally.
If kids aren't getting to school on time, they're not learning, no matter how much effort we put in the schools. We are seeing, again, driver shortages. I feel like a broken record up here. I say it, almost every meeting.
I'm really disheartened that we're back in the same situation again, back in the same conversations again, back in the same of everything.
Unfortunately, it's happening again.
We're going into this again. It's like Groundhog Day.
I'm very frustrated.
You're in an unenviable position.
We all are so frustrated. Our parents, our students, everyone.
A year ago was 10.55. That was already terrible. And now it's at 46.6.
I'd rather have a full fleet of buses so we can get 1,000 more kids to school.
Problem is, they're a private company. I can't tell them how to run their business, so they do their own recruiting.
I live in the land of optimism, but I'm trying to be very truthful and very foreshadowing of the problems that you should anticipate.
And it's hard to also concede that we don't have control and just say, oh, there's driver shortages and what can we do?
We have to find a solution to this.
We can't dictate that.
Right, so that's part of the problem, though.
Right.
I mean, it seems to me, so NRT's paying the drivers more in other towns and paying less here. Why are we surprised?
I think that's one big part of the problem on why we don't have the bus drivers.
that was the reason for the lack of drivers.
But if we don't do something about it, we're going to lose bus drivers.
If it costs a little more money to get kids to school on time.
Think of all the rest of our budget and exactly where that money goes to and how it's not fully implemented if kids continue to show up ridiculously late due to a driver shortage.
Was it really worth the outsource now that we're back to this game?
Lastly, keep in mind this privatization initiative is anticipated to result in a continuing annual savings in excess of $300,000.
There's a lot of issues involved in this, a lot of moving parts.
It's really complicated. Our hands are tied.
Their hands are tied because they can't do anything.
Our hands are tied in so many different ways.
I feel so out of control right now. I feel like we have put our trust in this company. We are in charge. We were elected by the people to do the best by our students. And we are woefully failing because of a busing company.
The lack of local control is complex and confusing and unhelpful, and I'm sorry for it.
This has been frustrating.
When it comes down to is the type of control that you want to have over your operations. And moving forward, that may be something that Framingham wants to consider.
Based on the data and the remarks here tonight, it's clear to me that the decade-long experiment to contract out school district bus transportation in Framingham has failed. If we stick with the vendor with an $8.6 million line item in FY25 at $31.70 an hour, that comes with no benefits, with the expectation that the driver count would remain at 57 or less, and without local control through the vendor model. Or we can make the proactive shift to go in-house with a $9.3 million line item in FY25 at $34 an hour, adding in full benefits with a move to launch only starting when we have a minimum, as I said, of 58 confirmed drivers.
Local control back over our buses is a big opportunity, and it will be a missed opportunity if we don't do this.
If 26% of the pickleball nets were broken, what would you do? If 26% of the senior center programming or the staff or the space was wiped away, what would you do? Think about busing as a government service, a core government service, just like that. And let's think as we go forward as a city to partner, and let's do something new, not the same old thing that's been happening over and over and over again.
Many of you know, I used to drive a bus. I drove a bus for 6 years. I understand this. I understand
I understand the drivers were really upset when we privatized. And we lost many, many amazing drivers when that happened.
The bus contract, depending on how many of the bus drivers who are eligible to go, and depending on how many who are eligible to retire actually retire, could save in the first year up to about $410,000. So that would be fairly significant.
And in the process, we managed to go and destroy the loyalty that we had. And that, to me, is a mistake. And it's a mistake that I don't want to have repeated.
I'm second guessing myself. When we had local bus drivers, we were so much more.
The trust, because we blew the trust with the bus drivers.
If we're going to turn the tide on this and get 77 drivers, we're going to have to make this a desirable place to want to work and drive.
It's time for Framingham to create and roll out its own solutions.
In-house.
When you bring it back in-house, the drivers have a sense of community. They feel like they're part of the district.
In-house.
Framingham Public Schools could offer higher pay and better benefits possibly than NRT.
In-house.
If you were to bring it in-house, we would pay the salaries and, of course, the benefits too. And I think that's one of the draws for any bus driver out there that would come to drive for the city, that they would get the benefits.
In-house.
How many would be going towards our direction?
I have, and I get the sense that they would enjoy working for the city.
In-house.
Even if we had 58 buses, we'd have one more bus than we have now.
True.
In-house.
And we will have the ability to take control back and help our kids and help our budget be spent in a better way than ever before.
In-house.
I think Framingham would be the ideal spot to come.
In a late January memo, we were asked once again to be patient, but here it is late February. I think we can all agree that 6 months is plenty of time to be patient.
If we had more buses, I think it'd be a little bit better too.
In-house.
Wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round.